russosbrand.com.
What does everybody want?
Where the pros are the pros.
All right, so what do we got newsworthy, Jeff?
Details have come out. Now, there's multiple versions of this story, so take all these details with a grain of salt. It's been reported that Britt Baker was suspended by AEW for a confrontation with MJF, his fiance Alicia Atout, who's a backstage interviewer for AEW, and Will Ospreay. So it started with, apparently, during MJF and Will Ospreay's hour-long match on the 250th Dynamite, during it, Britt Baker was reportedly burying them in the women's locker room. So Alicia Atout told MJF, and then Will Ospreay apparently confronted Baker, asked her why she was starting issues backstage. Then they're saying that Britt Baker went off on Alicia Atout, calling her an effing bitch, and she was going to get her kicked out of the women's locker room. There's two versions of this next part. One, MJF went into the women's locker room. One, he did not. And then he got into it with Baker. And then there's two versions of this part. One says he punched the wall in front of her. Another version says he went down the hall away from her and punched the wall. So again, you have to take these details with a grain of salt. But what seems to be the case here is that Britt Baker was suspended for this. One of the sources said the reason why MJF was not suspended is because HR had all the details and all the information in the footage, and they looked it over and said, okay, you're not in the wrong here. You were just coming to the defense of your fiance.
Well, I mean, how many times have we talked about this? You're going to have incidents like this. You're going to have situations because you have performers who are, first and foremost, they're high-level athletes. And we know with any high-level athlete, there's a certain amount of edge that they have to maintain, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. But on top of that, you have very eclectic, eccentric artists that are operating in a very insecure space that is very subjective. Professional wrestling isn't its only objective in the amount of people that your actions elicit interest from. Ticket sales, television ratings, that's the only objective, really, measurement that you can have. Merchandise sales, everything else is subjective. It's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of taste. It is and will always be an art form, which means you're free to do it any way you want, and then an audience is free to interpret it any way they want. And you're going to have conflict. You're going to have situations in the back that are going to happen on a pretty regular basis. I don't know where this started or why this has happened, that everyone now envisions that a professional wrestling locker room or backstage area is the office, where you have a bunch of people that show up at a job. A bunch of people now have to work and coexist together to complete mundane tasks. That is never been and never will be a professional wrestling locker room or backstage area. It is going to be an area filled with very narcissistic, neurotic, insecure athletes who are artists, who are all competing with each other, and of course are going to pick at each other and are going to make comments, and people are going to get offended and feelings are going to get hurt, and then there are going to be moments of physical conflict. It's going to happen. So what? Britt Baker got suspended. Probably a smart idea. Take her out of the environment for a period of time, let things cool down, bring her back. But this is going to occur, and it's not going to stop. But every time one of these things comes out, oh my God, that would never happen at my workplace. You're right, because it's a workplace. You don't think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Vince, Major League Baseball team, you don't think there's shit that goes down in that locker room all the time? NBA basketball team, two players on the same team start getting on each other's nerves, and there's not one athlete who's been sitting on the bench and is now jealous of another athlete that's got the same position on the field or on the court that he plays, and he wants to be on there and doesn't see why he can't be because that guy is. Oh, he must be blowing the coach. Oh, that's clearly his favorite. Oh, I see the coach is friends with this guy's uncle. And of course, since, the guy's uncle's friends with the coach, that's why he's got the spot on the floor. That's why I'm not starting. I'm sitting on the bench. Not because I'm not good. You don't think this happens everywhere in all kinds of athletic endeavors? And let's never forget, that's what professional wrestling really ultimately is. It's an athletic endeavor. Yeah, we know who's going to win. But guess what? In a lot of other athletic endeavors, they also know. If you are naive enough to believe that in a day and age where financially there are billions of dollars at stake, that they don't have some clue or predisposition as to who's going to have the outcome in every athletic endeavor, you're full of shit, or you're a complete moron. Let's face it. Because, they wouldn't do that in the NFL. They wouldn't get, an argument or a fight in the locker room. We wouldn't have to please. They do. You know what the NFL doesn't do? They just don't share it with you. You know what they don't do in the NBA? Every time two guys get their feelings hurt and they start getting into it backstage, they don't come out and have a press conference after the show and tell you it happened. And this has been going on for decades. So Britt Baker ran her mouth, hurt somebody's feelings because she was shitting on a match, came back, confronted her. And then, out of that confrontation, an argument started. And then she got suspended. She got suspended because she shit on the two top guys in the company. They're not going to suspend the two top guys. They're not going to suspend Will Ospreay. They're not going to suspend MJF because if anybody has a chance of drawing any money, it's those two. Not Britt Baker. Not taking exception against Britt Baker. I'm just saying that's the way the ladder is going to go. And if anybody is going to get suspended out of this situation, it's going to be her.
Do you think when Tony Khan uses when he suspends Britt Baker, he uses the deep wrestling voice?
Yeah, I think he does. Yeah. This is enough. I've had enough with AEW Wednesdays on Dynamite Wednesdays on TNT. Everyone now has this attitude that professional wrestling is one, a job, which it's not, and two, it's to operate and behave like every other workspace. And it's not a workspace. It's a locker room. It's a backstage area filled with high-level athletes, not high-level executives, high-level, accountants. It's high-level athletic, artistic performers. And you're going to have this happen. Get over it.
I hope you liked the last video, and remember, man, you can go right now, if you've never been a Patreon subscriber, go right now to patreon.com/Russo TWC and get a free week of Russo's brand on me.
What's up, brand? This is Jeff Lane inviting you to come hang out with me over on Twitch. I'm live several nights a week playing games, classic and new, currently going through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the new Contra game, and more. So check me out, Jeff Lane 22 on Twitch.
Pick up Mike Durbin's Conan action figure, bro. Look how beautiful this thing is. I freaking love the packaging, man. Look at this. MikeDurbin.com, guys. Help Mike out, man. This is a beautiful action figure, bro. Beautiful. MikeDurbin.com.
Other than Steve Austin, I would say Steve Austin.